Well, hello there, I'm Emrys from cruisehive.com. So where do we start with this week's cruise news update? To be honest, I'm not really sure, as there are all kinds of updates and changes. What a week of cruise news we had, right? So let's make sure you don't miss a thing, especially all those Carnival Cruise Line cutbacks, which we will get into a little bit later on in the update. We've also got coverage on the construction progress of Royal Caribbean's new cruise terminal in Galveston, Texas. Another milestone for a new Norwegian Cruise Line ship. Pre-cruise testing changes by MSC Cruises, a change in testing protocols again by Carnival Cruise Line, and we've got Royal Caribbean itinerary changes. Wow, it sure was a busy week of cruise news. Alright, so let's get started because your cruise news update begins now. Royal Caribbean shared an update in the past week showing the company's progress on its new cruise terminal in Galveston, Texas. The state-of-the-art facility already shows Royal Caribbean's signature anchor logo on the roof and is about 75% complete. Construction of the 68-foot tall building started in the summer of 2021 when contractors broke ground, marking the start of construction. Since then, the terminal structure has risen and will be completed in the fall of this year. With a total cost of $126 million, the cruise terminal will be one of the most advanced buildings for embarking and disembarking cruise ship passengers in the United States. Mobile check-in and facial recognition will enhance the process at the terminal. Well, once completed, the new terminal building will be able to handle the mass of people that come to Galveston to sail on board the Oasis class Allure of the Seas. Starting November 13th, the cruise ship will be sailing on a series of 7-night Western Caribbean cruises. Although global supply issues have set the construction of Norwegian Viva and her sister Norwegian Prima back somewhat, Norwegian Cruise Line still has enough to celebrate, that's for sure. After Norwegian Prima was officially handed over by the shipyard to the cruise line a week before, there was another occasion to celebrate on August 2nd, as Norwegian Viva took to the water for the very first time while under construction at the Fincantieri Marghera shipyard in Italy. The floatout is an important milestone in the construction of a cruise ship and was celebrated by welding a commemorative coin into the ship. The floatout marks the completion of the external work of the vessel, with the focus shifting on completing the interior of the 142,500 gross ton cruise ship and the cabins for the 3,215 passengers that will be sailing on board the ship from mid-2023. With a slight delay of just over 2 weeks, Norwegian Viva is expected to make her debut on July 3rd, 2023. She will spend her inaugural season in Europe, sailing in the Eastern and Western Mediterranean. Following the footsteps of other major cruise lines, MSC Cruises has made several changes to its health and safety protocols for cruises sailing from the United States. The changes follow the lifting of the voluntary program for cruise ships from the CDC just several weeks ago. So the new protocols will be in effect from August 8th, 2022 onwards. They include that all fully vaccinated guests sailing on a cruise of 5 nights or shorter will no longer be required to provide a negative test result before sailing. Instead, the cruise line only recommends getting tested before sailing. For all unvaccinated guests aged 2 years and up, a lab-administered negative viral test taken within 3 days of embarkation is needed for all cruises from US ports. The same policy counts for all cruises on board MSC cruise ships sailing Itineraries 6 days and longer from US ports. For all cruises sailing from the US, there will be no changes to the vaccination policies that are in place currently. This means that all guests aged 12 years and older must be fully vaccinated. Carnival Cruise Line has updated its pre-cruise testing protocols again, specifically as they relate to sailings in the Bahamas. This had caused some confusion in recent days as other cruise lines have not required testing on shorter cruises with Bahamian ports of call, but Carnival still mandated tests for all passengers, regardless of vaccination status or cruise length if visiting the Bahamas. Well, effective from August 8th on cruises 5 nights or less, vaccinated passengers do not need to present a pre-cruise test result of any kind, including those sailing to, of course, the Bahamas. This is a change from the clarification Carnival Cruise Line provided just days ago. Also, unvaccinated passengers, however, must still show a negative test result to be permitted to sail, even on shorter sailings. This may be either a supervised PCR or antigen test, and it may be taken up to 3 days before embarkation. All guests aged 2 and older, regardless of vaccination status, must present a negative test result for any Carnival cruise to the Bahamas or any other destination if the sailing is 6 nights or longer. Well, this clarification is a welcome notice for guests booked on upcoming short sailings to the Bahamas. Previously, Carnival Cruise Line did require testing for all passengers visiting the popular island nation, despite the Bahamas having no mandate for travelers to present a negative test result upon entering the country. That requirement was actually ended in the Bahamas on June 19th, 2022. Due to ongoing engine issues, Royal Caribbean has altered the remainder of the Alaska itineraries for Quantum of the Seas this season. Changes include dropping scenic glacier sailing days, replacing ports of call, and altering port times to accommodate the vessel's slower speeds. The impacted itineraries for the Quantum class ship include embarkation dates in late August, 22nd and 29th, as well as all September departure dates on the 5th, 12th, 19th and 26th. Previously, the August 1st, 8th and 15th sailings were also changed. Quantum of the Seas is offering 7-night round-trip Alaska sailings from Seattle with 2 different itineraries scheduled. So depending on the itinerary for each sailing date, scenic cruising for Endicott Arm and Dawes Glacier is being removed, and port time in Juneau is being slightly extended. Alternatively, sailing slated to have visited Icy Strait Point will now visit Ketchikan instead. In emails sent to booked guests to notify them of itinerary changes, the reasoning is given as due to speed limitations caused by a technical issue with one of the ship's engines. No safety mechanisms aboard the ship have been compromised, and no hotel operations are impacted. Only the ship's cruising speed is affected. And finally, we find out what Carnival Cruise Line is pushing back on and taking away. Yes, that's right. In the past week, the cruise line sent out a communication detailing some permanent changes to onboard dining venues across the fleet. So, effective as of August 1st, 2022, Carnival is cutting back on a wide range of dining services, venues, and operating times. These cutbacks are not as extreme as they may at first seem. So, Carnival cruise ships will no longer have a 24-hour pizzeria. Instead, the Pizza Pirate or Pizzeria del Capitano, depending on the ship of course, will operate from 9 a.m. until 4 a.m. and will be closed for the 5 least busy hours of the 24-hour period. Guests craving a late night snack will no longer be able to enjoy late night snacks on the Lido restaurant, but will be able to get Pizza Plus options instead. The popular Sea Day brunch, with its exclusive offerings in the main dining room, always a guest favorite, will be shortened by 1 hour, concluding at noon instead of the usual 1 p.m. The fun vibe of Ocean Plaza, a fixture on board 7 Carnival vessels, will no longer be available, with a light snack menu for breakfast and lunch. Room service door hanger menus will no longer be available for placing outside stateroom doors to request breakfast. While room service offerings will not change, guests must now call room service to place their orders. Complimentary occasion cakes, popular for birthdays and anniversaries, will no longer be available during dinner in the main dining room. Also, the chocolate extravaganza buffet, typically offered on the last day at sea, will continue to be paused at this time, but may return on future cruises. The afternoon tea time, an elegant snack time, and social hour is still on pause, but will also be returning. And also, one last thing, the once popular hairy chess competition on the Lido deck is not coming back. That activity has gone, and Carnival is instead introducing some new alternatives. Well, what do you think of all the cutbacks and changes? Do let us know in the comments below. It was a very busy week of cruise news indeed, and we've got all the full coverage over on cruisehive.com, including updated protocols from Royal Caribbean, another rock slide impacting the cruise dock in Skagway, Alaska. It's the end of a popular Lido competition across Carnival cruise ships. Carnival reaches a major milestone since restarting operations. Construction underway for 2 Caribbean cruise ports. Carnival Paradise cancellations due to dry dock. Fishing boat collides with an NCL cruise ship, and plenty more stories all over on the website. Well, thanks ever so much for taking the time to watch the video. If you did find it informative at all, please do hit that like button and subscribe to the Cruise Hive YouTube channel. Thanks ever so much, I really would appreciate that. I'm Emrys from cruisehive.com. Thanks again everyone, and I'll see you all soon.